Hi guys, how guys? Happy March, happy March. Welcome to the live. We are live on TikTok as well. Welcome to the live. It's the first Sunday of March. Welcome to March. I hope you guys are doing okay wherever you are. I know I'm late for this live. I was supposed to be sorry about that. But I hope you guys are still tuned in somewhere. I know in Kenya it's a little bit late. It's maybe going to midnight because it's 4:30 here. But if you are in the same time zone with me and you're able to join the live, please join in. Let's talk about choosing the wrong partner in life. The choice of your partner can break or make your future life. It can make or break your relationship. So we are also live on TikTok. So everybody who is joining in, we just started. We just started. So anybody who can join in on TikTok, karibuni sana for joining the live. So today we are talking about choosing the wrong partner. The topic of conversation today: choosing the wrong partner will ruin your life. Choosing the wrong partner will ruin your life. True story. So maybe a conversation about real life situation. Has this happened to you? People who are married and not just being married, people who have had long-term relationships. How has it been for you? Because there's character development. You guys know that. If you're in Kenya, you know what I mean. And that comes sometimes before you get married. So if you have character development, if kama umepigwa character development before you get married, that's a different thing. But if you're being developed while you're in a marriage, that's even worse. It's very costly. So let's talk about the things that make or break a relationship. First of all, TikTok, welcome. YouTube, welcome. I am not a marriage expert. I really am not. But I have gone through some experiences which gives me some kind of footing to talk about this topic. And being in the US and being in a foreign country and being in a relationship with somebody who is not from my culture, that was a little bit different. It was a little bit difficult, I believe, than if I had been married to somebody who maybe like a Kikuyu or somebody from Kenya. It could have been easier, it could have been harder, I don't know. But today, let's talk about why it is so important to choose the right partner for our relationships, why it's important to study the people that we are with. Because if we study this much for an exam, you know, we go to school for whatever number of years, and then we have this major national exam that we have to take. And we put our effort, we put all our brains, all our time, all our energy towards that so we can be successful in that examination. Why can't we put the same effort while we are vetting for the people that we are going to spend the rest of our lives with? So that's the topic of conversation. So I'm inviting everybody who is available on TikTok while you're scrolling up and down. If you want to stop in here for a few minutes so we can talk about this, you can put your questions there. If you have a comment, you can leave your comments there, and I'll go back and I'll be reading the comments as we go. So, karibuni, let me acknowledge the people who are here for the live kwa sababu. I feel like I'm doing the live a little bit late today. I was actually going to record and then I was like, let me get some live. Maybe there's some people around and about this media, social media streets that want to participate. Nicholas Lingo, great topic. Thank you. Welcome to the live. Saa ngapi saa hii USA? Saa hii mumelala Kenya. Hamisi Almasi. That's what I thought. I thought you guys were asleep. I didn't think there's anybody who would be awake in Kenya to participate in the live. But right now it's 4:40 p.m. here in the US on the East Coast. There are different time zones. So go Eastern Standard Time, and at this time it's 4:40. It could be different times in other parts of the US. So thank you guys for joining in. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about how why it's important. Number one, choose the right partner, not just here in the US, but anywhere in the society, anywhere in the world. The first thing is that you're going to be sharing your life with this person. So we need to know about the person. This thing of rushing into marriage and signing the papers that are binding, especially here in the US, the marriage certificate is binding, it's respected, it's acknowledged, it's honored. So if you say you're married to somebody, there are things that come along with that. Sharing of property, if there's children and you don't feel like you're going to be able to support the children, serikali will follow you because you need to pay for child support. But before you get to that point, it's important that we learn the people that we are going to spend the rest of our life with. So, what are we talking about? It could be differences in how we handle our finances because some people are very disciplined as far as their finances, and some people are not. And if one person is going this way towards the saving direction, and the other person is going towards the spending direction, you guys, we need to come to like some kind of consensus, a middle ground where we can both be okay with our like compromise. But if we didn't talk about this before going into marriage, then how are we going to survive when shit hits the roof later? You know what I mean? Family values, the way we were raised back home and the way society is here is totally different. So if you're like me and you're from here and you don't do your whole research to find out about this person, the ins and outs of the person, then you come to find out things later. And by the time you find out things about the person, it's too late. It's too late because you're knee deep into the marriage. So the importance of talking about these things so that you can know if you're a good fit for each other. Because somebody can be a good fit for another person, they might not be a good fit for you. So, but how are you going to know if you don't have these conversations? So let's pay more attention and discuss these things before we get into serious relationship. Credit. Credit is so important here, and the way we manage our credit is so important here. It's a thing that can literally break you or make you here in the US, in my own experience. If the person is not they don't understand credit or money or how to spend or how to borrow credit and how to manage the credit or how much to borrow or when to borrow and when not to borrow, then you're not and you're not in the right you're not in the right relationship. Because if your plan is you want to be financially savvy, you want to be able to manage your finances properly, and the other person is not interested in that, they are sneakerheads, they just want to buy flashy things, they are worried about big houses, they are worried about showing off to other people, then that's not what you're all about. But if you don't take time to learn the person, how are you going to know this? How are you going to know this? It's going to come back later and bite you in the butt because you didn't take enough time to learn the person. Even conversations around religion. Do you go to church? What is your stand on religion? Isikue, you're hooking up with somebody who's a atheist. When I try people who don't believe in God, what are they called? Type there in the comment section. I think when I try atheist. But yeah, so you didn't talk about these things, but then you're strong into Christianity and you believe in higher powers and stuff like that. But then now you are bound in marriage with this person, and now because you can't stand him and you can't stand that situation, now you're rushing to find out how can I divorce this person because we don't get along, you know, just because we didn't talk about these things ahead of time. Issues about children. How many children do you want? You know, because that could be a deal breaker. And then that's the other thing, deal breakers. What is a deal breaker for you? What is a deal breaker for you? What is it that you really can't stomach? You can't stand this thing in a relationship. What is that thing? You know? Yeah, as far as children, there are people that don't want children in a relationship. But can you imagine you hooking up with somebody who is like hell bent on getting like 4 or 5 children, but you you're saying no, I don't want any children. So can you imagine that? That would be terrible because that's obviously a deal breaker, and you don't want to settle. You don't want to settle for less. You know, you don't want to settle for less. You want to get what you want to get in life. So you end up breaking up because if that's a deal breaker for the person, they're not going to keep you around. So just instead of just looking at, okay, I met this person, yes, we are going for coffee, but when you go for coffee and we go for these dates, what are we actually talking about during this date? Beyond you look good, beyond I like how you take care of yourself, beyond I like your shoes, beyond you're pretty, beyond you have a big nyash, beyond all that. What else are we talking about in our relationship, like earlier on in the beginning? What do you guys talk about when you're going on dates? First date, yes, I can see how it can be just a little bit just getting to know each other. But if you're going for more dates after that, what are we talking about about during those dates? Because I feel like that's the time that we should just going in before you start falling in love with someone, before you start saying, "Oh, I can't live without you," you know? I feel like that's the time that you should be talking about these things. Are you guys hearing me? I feel like there's a delay on YouTube. If you can hear me, let me know. Is there any delays on YouTube or on TikTok or a lagging? I don't know. It looks weird on my side. So let me know if you guys can hear me okay. TikTok, can you guys hear me? YouTube, can you hear me? I feel like there is a delay on YouTube. Okay. Maybe there's not. Okay, that's fine. So what are we talking about when we go on these dates? Are we talking about things that are going to be very crucial later on in the relationship, or are we just talking about superficial things? Early conversations about money, about family expectations. For example, my my partner, my late husband, he was American. So they don't have that tradition of helping other family members financially, like the way we send money home. They didn't have that. So because we didn't have that conversation ahead of time earlier on in the relationship, I don't know why I assumed that that's something that everybody does. You know, when you go somewhere, I think you have to be open-minded to try and learn about the other cultures. I 100% assumed that because he's black, because he was African American, I assumed that because he's black, then automatically he should know about this black tax and us sending money home and doing even projects at home. But I didn't realize until later on that that's not a thing. That is not a thing. It's not as deeply involved in their culture as much as it is for us. So that can be a problem down the line if now, later on, when you guys are talking about finances, that's if you guys talk about finances together. You start talking about, oh, I need to send to you this part of my paycheck, I need to send it home, I need to be doing this and that and the other. The other thing, especially for intercultural relationships, is this thing of us investing at home. The way we buy land at home, the way we buy new plot, you're building here, you're building there. Those conversations, I feel like they need to be said, had ahead of time. That way, there's no awkwardness later or the need to, like, you're featuring money, you're hiding money from your spouse because you had not had these conversations before. So because you had not told them anything about, oh, you know what, I want to invest back home. Pretty much talk about the plans, like the overall plans in life. What is it that, what is the goal? What do we see ourselves? What are we trying to achieve? Do we have the same values even? Do we believe in the same thing? Do we have the same vision? Are we working? Are we living in this life towards the same kind of vision? We might not be like the same kabisa, but are we moving towards a similar vision? Because if not, if all the time you guys are like disagreeing and going against each other, chances are that marriage is not going to survive. And like I said, I'm not a marriage expert, but it's just I felt like there's so much that goes on unsaid until when the need comes for these things to be said, there's no foundation for it. So it becomes like you're being blindsided by your partner, and that becomes a source of argument. And sometimes that's a deal breaker for people. If we just spring things up randomly, like huge life changing things, I feel like we shouldn't be springing those things like in the middle of the relationship, like when the relationship is so far gone. That's when now you're starting to say, oh, you know what, this and this and this. You know what, I'm building in Kenya. I have this multi-million dollar, whatever, our shilling apartment that I'm building. Your partner will question, what else are you hiding? Because if we can't talk about those things before you start doing those projects, then what else are you hiding from me? You know what I mean? And how to handle in-laws, how to handle in-laws, their family, your family, because some people always side with their family. And you as the person that you're married to that family, you feel like you're sidelined. You feel like you're always alone. Your husband or your wife is not supporting you in matters that are related to the whole like extended family. They don't put you as a priority, and therefore you feel like if like there's a family gathering or something, you feel like you're isolated and you feel like you're not one together with the family because you you did not ask these questions before. You did not ask these questions before. Some people are like not baby mamas. They're mama's boys. I don't know if you guys have experienced that. Some people, some men are mama's boys to the end. And I'm not saying there's anything bad with that. It's just that sometimes it interferes with the relationship. So if the mother-in-law is all up in your business all the time, and they are not giving you breathing space. I remember the late Mambo Motela would, I think there was a time that he had that one topic on radio. He had a radio show called Jehu Nyungwana. And he was talking about this mothers-in-law who would not give their kids a chance to be in their own marriage. She comes in and she takes over. She takes over. The wife has no space in that in that marriage, and you'll be like, Jehu Nyungwana kweli? So things like those, get to know your in-laws, get to know what you're getting into, and that will save you a lot. If you some people's family, you can't be around them. They are not tolerable. But how will you know if you haven't taken the time to date the person and not just going on date clubs and this and that? Like really having deep conversations about the family, the culture, the values, religion, children, finances, all that stuff. Very, very important. It comes back to haunt you later. I'm telling you. You might not feel like, especially for people who are coming in here with K1 visas. Let me speak to you guys specifically. People coming to the US with K1 visas, a lot of times we get so excited, and I'm not trying to discourage you guys who don't come at my neck. I'm not trying to discourage you. I am just giving my unsolicited advice. People that come in with K1 visas, you're so excited because the guys, they come to Kenya, maybe they come and pick you up from there, or they make arrangements for you to come here, and then you get married, you get your papers, you live together. Okay, that is fine. But during the dating period, please get as much information about this person as you can. And granted, people are going to lie, right? People are going to lie, but at least know that in your heart of hearts that you asked the right question. And at that point, sometimes you're like, I'm just going to ignore these things because I want to come to the US. Yeah, that's true, and that's okay. But just know that sometimes if your gut feeling is telling you something, listen to it. Because if something is telling you that something is not right, most of the time, something is not right. So all I'm saying is let's take time to ask the serious questions, the important questions that people are afraid to ask, or they're uncomfortable to ask, or the questions that you feel like if I ask, maybe he'll leave me because, or she'll leave me because she thinks I'm being too deep in the beginning of the relationship. So if the person is already avoiding these kind of conversations initially, that's a red flag. Because why wouldn't you, if you've chosen a person and you want to pursue this person, why wouldn't you be willing to have these serious conversations with the person? You know, use issue. Guys of TikTok guys, welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. Let me acknowledge some of the people who are here. Um, okay, let me start from the, oh, wow, I can't start from the beginning. It's too many people. Judy Waithera, Makenya, Hamzi, Ronnie, Marjorie, Charles Swati, uh, Charles Watika. Charles Watika ni aje? Isaac Newton uko hapa. Val, Jerry, Josh, Paul, uh, Peter, Irene, Jean. Somebody is asking which part of Delaware I'm in. I'm in Delaware, towards the south side of Delaware. Temoko, Yakufu. So TikTok guys, if you have questions or if you want to participate in the comment section, you can go ahead. The comment section is now open on YouTube as well. If there's anybody who has a comment or a question, you can just comment and we'll talk about whatever questions that you have. Emily, yeah, Dover. Pius, kwani unaishi huku Delaware? Are you in Delaware, Pius, on TikTok? Are you in Delaware? If there's anybody in Delaware, let me know. Let me know if there's anybody around here in Delaware. I know there's a lady that I met online recently. She lives in West Virginia. So her name is Mel. So Melody is a teacher here, by the way. So if there's anybody here who knows somebody who would like to come to the US to teaching, they're teachers in their country and especially in Kenya, and they want to come to the US through the route of teaching. I have videos about that. I had an interview with Melody. She's a teacher who came here through teaching, and now she's a teacher in the US. You can watch those videos. It's a three-part videos about teaching. You can watch those and you can forward it to your family and friends back home who are teachers and they would like to try to come to the US through teaching. Yeah, today we are talking about how choosing the wrong partner will ruin your life. And I was just giving you some of real life examples. I don't know if there's anybody else who has that kind of experience, or maybe you chose the right partner. Maybe you chose the right person, and that had a positive effect in your life. It's not always negative. There are people that you can meet that can just bring the best in you out of you. There are people you can meet that they can bring the worst out of you. So it depends. Are you a good match? Are you a good fit to carry on with this life? Or are you not a good fit? So it depends. It depends. But conversations need to be had. Conversations need to be had. Pius Ndishu, you're not in USA, just have family there in Middletown. Been there like twice. Oh, okay. Okay. Viquento, welcome to the live. Miss Francis, welcome to the live. George Gitao, Karibuni. Karibuni Sana. I see you guys. Hi, Jay Kwesi Jr. on TikTok. Baz, welcome guys to the live. I'm also on YouTube. So if anybody wants to jump on to the YouTube live, this is the time to do that. If you're not able to watch this live, it's going to be uploaded on YouTube later, and you guys can just watch it there. We are talking about how choosing the wrong partner can make or break your relationship. Very, very important to choose the right partner. Marriage is not just about love, it's also about finances, family values, credit, deal breakers, long term compatibility. I think that is the question. What is the expectation when you meet somebody? What is your expectation? What do you need from me? What do you how would you like to see us in the future? What is the vision for this relationship? You know what I mean? Questions like those. Early conversations about money, about credit, about family expectations. Those conversations, those tough conversations, they matter. And people should not be avoiding these tough conversations. Because if you don't have these conversations in the beginning, you're going to feel it later when you're trying to do something and you can't or you're not able to because the person is either you're not on the same page. Choosing the right partner, it can impact your success and happiness. Somebody can make you miserable throughout the relationship only because you missed something. You missed something in that relationship because you didn't have those serious, tough conversations in the beginning. The biggest red flags and deal breakers, if you see something and your gut is telling you this thing is not right, question it. Keep questioning it and questioning it. I can't speak. Questioning it until you figure out why is it that you're having that feeling? Why is it that you're having that? What is that feeling nagging you? Quinto says, the Quinto nasema, we should invent an integrity system to identify the loyalty while choosing right partner. It's very difficult, by the way. It's very difficult. But all I'm saying is at least have those conversations. Because one of the red flags for me would be if somebody does not even want to have those conversations. You know what I mean? They're avoiding the topic like the plague. They don't want to have these conversations. Wanaona kama maybe you're being too intrusive, or maybe it's too early in the relationship to talk about these things, you know? But it doesn't have to go into the specifics. And like I said, I'm not a marriage expert, but I'm saying it doesn't have to go like into specific. At least have a clear picture of where this person is going. What's the vision for this person? Guys, like the live on TikTok because something about it hangs or it's going to be dropped or something that TikTok does. YouTube, I don't think we have that problem. But TikTok, if you guys don't like the live, I think it gets hang or it gets dropped or something. So please like the live so that we don't get dropped. Thank you. Thank you guys for doing that for me. So, what about credit? Do you guys feel like we should, the people who are in the US especially, do you guys feel like we should ask somebody for their credit report or their credit score? Should that be part of the vetting, or is that going to be awkward in a relationship? Would you ask somebody for their credit in Kenya? I don't know what you guys call it in Kenya. Credit report. It is a measure of how financially responsible somebody is. That's how we get paid. And it's a measure, it's what the lenders use to check to make sure that you're a good fit for whatever money that you're trying to borrow. So are you competent enough? Are you responsible enough for them to loan you money? So in order for them to do that, they pull what is called your credit report. So it has your payment history, it has how many credit cards, how many loans you have, it has the places you've lived, your personal information, your previous addresses, it has your employer, it has it has all this information. And then there's a section for your finances. How many credit cards you have, personal loans, all kinds of loans, student loans, what kind of loans do you have? Payment history being the biggest, one of the biggest factors that affects the credit score is your payment history. So if somebody hasn't been paying their bills, especially credit cards, they report it there, and that's not a good sign. How does that affect you in a relationship? If you're going to borrow some money together and you're going to use a joint application, and you have not checked this person's credit, or you have not had conversations about credit, you will be surprised when you find out that his credit score is like 500. No kidding. Some people have low credit scores, and it's because they don't have a good credit history. Credit is one of those things that either gets better with time and your actions, or it gets worse with time and your actions. They say that if your credit is bad, you can improve it with time and doing what you're supposed to do. If it's good and you go the other way and you're not paying your bills and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, then it can go the other way. So what if you find this out later on in the relationship, mshaoana, maybe you even have kids, and now you want to do a big project together, but it requires you to have a joint application or something. So if you don't do things like those, do you think we should be like pulling a credit report on someone? You know, the way when the companies they want to give you money, if they're checking to see if you're a good fit for them to give you their money, they pull your credit score. But if you want to check if this person is compatible with you for life, for life as far as finances and your vision for the financial vision that you have, wouldn't it be important if you guys pulled both your credit and compared it? Quinto, what did you say? No, because if we ask, we won't date anymore. Why not? Why not? Most of the people, Pius, you're saying most of the people have defaulted one way or another, so that's not applicable in a relationship. Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that the person's credit has got to be good. You can default. Um, Everybody has done some kind of thing with their credit. Nobody has like perfect credit. I'm just saying, at least you'll see the trend. You'll see the kind of things that the person is defaulting on. How much loans do they have? You know, do they have like huge loans? Are they paying child support? Like, where is the money going? Because most of the time, money in our finances, money is the biggest problem in relationships. Money is the biggest, one of the leading causes of divorce. So I'm trying to see if there's a way that we can just have these conversations before it gets to that point. before it gets to that point. Yeah, I'm not saying that everybody has to have good credit. I just wanted to see the kind of things that are going on in your credit. Is it something that I'm okay with, or is it something that, is a deal breaker? Kagura Jane unasema, as you say, credit record can be repaired with time. Someone can have bad credit score due to something. That's true. There are many things that can happen that can mess up your credit. I've done a video, and you guys can watch it, about bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is one of the things that can really, really mess up your credit. You can have a good credit history, and then something in life happens, pop, and the only way to get out of that thing is if you file for bankruptcy and start on a clean slate. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person, or that doesn't mean that you're financially reckless. It means that something happened in life that forced you to do something like that, and you knowingly did it because at that point it was the only thing that could have saved you from that financial trap that you were in. And then you get out of that, you start on a clean slate, and with time, you go back to normal. Your credit goes back. All the points that you had lost, you gain them back. So I'm not saying that we should entirely say, okay, now because their credit is bad, I'm not going to date them. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, I mean, because money is one of the major reasons for divorce. What can we do to save it, to save that? Is there anything that we can do? Because Quentin said, yeah, because if we ask about credit, we won't date anymore. Because why? Because people think you're too serious in the beginning of the relationship. Because in the beginning of the relationship is the honeymoon period. So people don't want to mess that up by bringing serious topics. Sindio, utaki kuulizwa stories za credit. Nobody wants to hear all that in the beginning of the relationship. And the other thing that I think it turns people off, but I feel like it's important, is when you when you ask people to go for medical records. I mean, not medical records, like medical checkup before you start like a serious relationship. Hey, people don't want to do that either. What do you guys think? Do you guys do that? Or what do you guys talk about when you go on dates? Or are people going on dates anymore? People, do you guys go and ask people for their medical report, or you're like, can we go together and get checked before we get serious? What do you guys say? Pius, Dicho, you're saying, I'm in for medical report. So you're in for medical report, but you don't want to talk about credit. Which one is more invasive, guys? I feel like the medical report is more invasive than the credit report. Ama, I could be wrong. Kabura Jane unasema, honestly, medical checkup is important. But are we doing it? If somebody asks you, like let's say you meet someone and they say, okay, because we have decided that we look like we are getting a little bit serious, is it okay if we go for a joint checkup? Or how do you guys ask? How do you bring that up? How do you bring those conversations up without somebody being awkward? Or what conversations are you having when you're going on these dates? How do you bring up money, credit, family, culture, deal breakers? How do you bring those conversations up without making it awkward? You know? And at what point do you tell the person, so now let's go for medical before you become intimate, obviously. But at what point, like, is it like after the first week or after 2 weeks? I feel like these conversations, they're important, but they could make you feel a little bit weird when you're bringing them up. And who's bringing them up? Because the one bringing them up might appear that like they are the ones who are like needy, or they want the relationship too much more than the other person. And then the other person might, you know, left. Pius unasema sasa unapea mrembo debit card anafanya damage ya 2 years. Let's go for medical. Mbona unampatia credit debit card? We didn't say that you have to exchange money. We're just talking. At this point, at this in the beginning of the relationship, when you're already like surrendering your debit card, Pius. In the beginning of the relationship, you why are you surrendering your debit card? Because if you give me your debit card and you know the debit card is linked to your checking account, hey, I'll go and spend it. I'm not going to save you from that. If I'm the kind of person that is, to wanna tweet a gold digger, sama. If you give a person your debit card without having prior conversations about money, you cannot turn around and complain that they spend your money. Pius, sindio? So I mean, hey, debit card, credit card, whatever card that you give the person, they are going to spend that money. And if there were no prior conversations about Lucy, don't you can only spend up to this much, or Lucy, let's talk about spending habits, or Lucy, let's just know that this is the limit. I'll spend it. I'll spend to until ni ikue nini overdraft. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do that, but I'm saying you can't expect that somebody to have the discipline if you guys have not talked about it. True Kenyan, karibu. Bonjour, bonjour. Ça va? Umekuja hapa na French. How are you, True Kenyan? What do you guys have to say to me? Okay. Kagura Jane, you're saying to me that's a straight request from the beginning that we need to have a check. Okay. Okay. So right away, like in the beginning when you're going to the first dates, you can just ask or tell the person or talk about that initially in the beginning of the conversation. Yeah. So that money um, checkup before people start sleeping together, do your checkups, medical checkups. I don't know at what point or how the setting of the questioning, asking the person, are you okay with us going for a medical checkup? It's up to you, however you want to put it. But I feel like those are some of the things that can prevent a lot of things. And I'm not saying that things cannot pop up later, but at least have a baseline of when I met this person, they were like this, like this, like this. But if you don't know, if you don't know, then how will you know if something comes up later? How will you know if that's a new thing or is something that the person has been having it for 17 years? True Kenyan, if you can't manage finances in a partnership, Kwisha. By the way, that's what we've been talking about, True Kenyan. That's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about things that we need to talk about in the beginning of relationships before we get so deep into it, before we actually decide, okay, now we are going to get married. And then we find out things that, we are like, no, this was a deal breaker. Yeah, it was a deal breaker, but you didn't talk about it in the beginning. And now you're running to get a divorce lawyer. By the way, divorce lawyers are expensive. What? Jane Kagure, yes. Okay, we agree. Mel, thank you for joining the live, guys. Make sure TikTok has rules. TikTok has rules that you have to keep tapping the screen. YouTube doesn't have those those rules, but we have to abide by whichever rules of the platform. So please like the live for me so that we don't get dropped. I feel like this is an important conversation. If you have comments about it, we are talking about choosing the wrong partner, how that can ruin your life. Lack of conversations ahead of time in the beginning. In the beginning of the relationships, are we asking these tough questions? Or are we just letting them slide, let everything slide, let nature take its course? Years go by and then something comes up later and you're like, what? I didn't know this. I was blindsided. You are not blindsided. You didn't ask. You didn't have the conversations ahead of time. You were just enjoying each other in the beginning, talking about things that are not that very important, you know? Yeah, I get it. Knowing each other is important, but knowing each other like fully wholly, you gotta get the whole picture, including the in-laws, family members that are, some people have family members that are crazy. They have like issues. Are you willing to deal with that? And I'm not being funny. It's true. Some people have like people who you can't be around because either of your beliefs or either because of your culture or your religion. Some of those things are deal breakers. Religion is one of those things. Money, children, in-laws. We've talked about in-laws and how some in-laws are not going to leave you in peace. Mama mkwe, baba mkwe, especially mama mkwe, mother-in-laws, mother-in-laws from hell. We have those, and we have some really good mothers-in-law that they don't show you any prejudice. They don't favor, or they don't favor their sons over their daughters, or the daughters over the sons. They treat you just the same as if you are their own children. Let's see who else is here. Pat, Letty Machiavelli, Anita Mpinda, Mel. Kagura, thank you for participating in this live. I appreciate the engagement. Jackie, Titus, everybody who is Casedro, Pole, Poleman, Rose. Thank you guys for joining the live. I appreciate you guys being here. You guys have any other suggestions, any comments? You didn't tell me what you guys talk about in the beginning of your dates. When you go, do you remember the beginning for you guys who are in a serious relationship or for you guys who are married? Do you remember the initial conversations that you guys had when you were dating? What were you guys talking about? Because let me um let me try to remember if I remember the first dates when I was new here, so I wasn't familiar with the way the US is. I I I really wasn't. And Kagura, you're saying at the beginning, people also discuss their past. Yeah, they discuss they discuss their past, or they talk about their exes. You guys talk about your exes in the beginning. Is that important? How important is that conversation? Do people talk about their exes at the beginning of the relationship and their baby mamas and baby daddies and stuff like that? Pius says the first question is if you have kids. Okay. So if they have kids, then that will direct the conversation depending on the answer, right? So does that matter because you're single or because you have children? Because either way, if you're single and the person has kids, and that is one of the things that was a deal breaker for you, then there's no going forward. Sindio? Yeah, so I feel like that's a good question to ask in the beginning. Things that will matter later on in the relationship. True Kenyan unasema partners who conceal partner stuff is rather insidious and insincere. Open discussion is a prerequisite before marriage. It's also important disclose medical history, autism, Down syndrome, etc. I wanted to say this, but I'm glad you brought it up. True Kenyan. You guys think this is important to talk about your medical histories, things that could affect either children later on, people who have traits that can be passed from one generation to the other? If you are a carrier of a disease that is maybe an autoimmune disease or something that is like genetic, you feel like these are conversations that you guys should have? And at what point are we having these conversations? Because that is a very heavy conversation to have. You guys, what do you guys think? Jane unasema, not necessarily the ex as in person, but what one has gone through. Okay, okay, I get what you mean. I get what you mean, Jane. So True Kenyan has brought up a very important point. I had it at the back of my mind, but I wasn't sure if I should bring it up. But we did talk about going for a medical checkup. But a lot of times when people talk about medical checkup, they're talking about STIs. They're going to see whether you have a STD, you have AIDS. Are you going to give me HIV or other communicable diseases? Are you going to give me an STD? You know what I mean? So maybe people are looking at that when I talk about the medical part of it. But now, True Kenyan brought another heavier layer to that. Partners who conceal pertinent stuff is rather insidious and insincere. Open discussion is a prerequisite before marriage. It's also important to disclose medical history, autism, Down syndrome, etc. What do you guys think about that? Do you feel like this is important to talk about these things that can affect, for example, if you guys are planning to have children, right? This is important. It's important that people know that you have a family history of even twins. Kuna wale, all they do is twins, 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 twins. Not that it affects a lot, but I mean, it would be good to know, right? You said when love is in the air, nobody cares about that. What? That's why it comes to bite you in the butt later. Because I'm not saying we're not going to talk about loves and feelings and how we feel about each other and stuff like that. But at some point during these conversations, see, we have some more serious conversations. Emma is just love, 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 mchana from morning to night. That's how we are talking. True Kenyan. That's why you sent a large delegation entourage to, to Peleleza, investigate and to be nosy about their business. That's how they did it back in the day. What if you're here, especially the people who are in the US or in other parts of the diaspora, come at the Gulf, you don't have that delegation. So for example, let me use myself an example as an example, right? So I'm here, I'm by myself. I'm the only family member here. But then I find somebody, the person is either Kenyan or they are from here. Which delegation to Kenyan am I sending? Who am I sending to do my upelelezi, to do my research? You know what I mean? Sometimes it's difficult and it's you're just left by yourself to ask these questions. Unauliza tu. And if the person is not willing to answer those questions, then it's a red flag for me. If you're not willing to talk to me about the important things, then then you know we can't move on. Pius anasema, Kagure Jane, you're saying I feel it's very important. And Pius says, my fiance would ask me to go for test when she was pregnant, and I never. So that's what I was saying. How can Why can't you guys go together? Because we can say that, okay, let's go for checkups. We agree that we're going for checkups. I didn't see your report. We didn't go together. So how am I sure that you went? Obviously, you didn't go, and now she's pregnant. You know what I mean? So these things, I'm not saying they happen all the time, but I'm saying there's some things that if you don't catch them earlier on in the beginning, they're going to ruin your relationship. Hands down. They're going to ruin your relationship, your life, your happiness, your peace of mind, you know, all of that. So I was talking about if you're in the diaspora, and True is saying that if you're in the diaspora, send all your nosy friends in your church. Well, I think I was too new. I was too new here. I didn't even have a large group of people to do my investigation. To do my investigation. Pius, you're saying, remember, Lucy, it's our culture. Our culture to do what? Yeah, but this is 2025, though. I know it's our culture, and our culture is different from maybe the US culture or the Gulf or Australia, Germany, wherever Kenyans are in the diaspora. But it's 2025. It's 2025. Are we not asking people about medical um, checkups? Are we not talking about our finances ahead of time? Are we not talking about our extended family? Are we not talking about how much we are helping, we are going to be helping back home? Are we not talking about this together? That we are going to help your family this much, and this is the much that we are going to be sending to my family. If you're married to a Black American, and you can correct me, guys, if you're here and you're married or you're in a relationship with a Black American, you can tell me. You can tell me if these people have black tax. They don't believe in that. So later on in the relationship, you're coming around saying, "Oh, I'm sending my dad $400." What? $400, Gani? So you have to start explaining why you need to send that money because they don't have that. So Shiro, welcome guys to the live. Johnston, welcome to the live. So what did you find later? Oh, Pierce Kagure Jane, in diaspora, it's a little bit tricky to do investigation. Free talk with the spouse is the only option. Most of the time, that's the only option. And the immediate family, right? Excuse me. And the immediate family might not tell you the truth because maybe they're not going to tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I'm not saying that there's a guarantee that the person will tell you the truth. But I feel like if we open these conversations, then you know we open this conversation. TikTok is saying that we need to do a thing so that the live is not hang, it's not whatever drop. So I had to do like a puzzle thing. What's all this with TikTok? Pew says, when I was a kid, ukianguka uumize kichwa, let me read that again. When I was a kid, ukianguka, uumie, ukicheza, ulikuwa unachapwa. So we hide things. Yeah, I get it. I get it. And that's why I said there's some things we do because we are Africans. There are some things we do because we are Africans and we were raised a certain way. But all I'm saying is, it's 2025, guys. It's now 2025. Can we start like leaving the things that didn't work behind and adapting to the new things that are working or adapting to the place that you're in? If you're in the US, we try to adapt. I'm not saying we drop everything. I'm saying the things that are not working, we just put them aside and we adapt to the things that are working. Yeah, mazetu tulikuwa tunachapwa. Oh my God. If you fall, you already fell or you're already injured. I remember one time we were playing outside. I had a cut on my foot. Chupa ilinikata, a broken bottle cut my foot. Before I was taken to the hospital, ile kichapo nilichapwa, the beating that I received from my mom from that, I'm like, it was an accident. But at that point, I think it's because we were out playing and we were not supposed to be outside playing. We were supposed to be already in the house and wash the dishes and all that. And we had not done that. Kumbe, we are outside playing, and then we were near like a dump site or something because you go, shall go. We were near a dump site, and I stepped on a bottle. The pain I felt. Alafu my mom alinichapa before before we went to the hospital. I'm like, yes, I get it. I get the traditions, but it's 2025. Hiro unasema relationships are tricky and scary. That's true. That's true. But we can't live without them. We can't live with them. We can't live without them. We can't live with them. So I think the point here is how can we effectively live together? And I feel like that the foundation is built in the beginning when we are dating. In the beginning, what kind of conversations are we having in the beginning? What kind of conversations are we having? TikTok guys, thank you for joining the live. I appreciate you being here. It's Sunday afternoon. Actually, it's almost evening because it's like 5:36 here. I'm sure in Kenya it's very late for those who are still awake. Kesho ni Monday, watu wako job. So I appreciate you guys being here with me on this live. Today we were talking about how choosing the right partner can affect your life, your future happiness, your future peace of mind, your future finances, even your future relationships. You might be engaging with a narcissist and you don't even know, and you come to find out later. And you're like, "Wow, did I see the signs or did I miss the signs? Or do you even know how to look out for signs of these toxic people?" But we're just jumping into these relationships either because of the circumstances that we are in, especially sisi wa Afrika tunaongea Kiswahili, especially sisi wa Afrika tunakuja hapa, unapata mtu hujafanya investigation, you haven't done any investigation about the person, hujui kama huyu ni mtu toxic, hujui kama huyu ni mtu ako na mental issues, una engage tu na mtu juu ya makara because you want the benefit of your kid. You don't pay attention to the details, the important red flags. You ignore them because you're worried about, what you're going to get. You're looking at it's maybe convenient. If it's for convenience, well, it is what it is. But I'm talking about things that a marriage that you invested in, a marriage that you feel like is honest and you're in there for the long term. So if that's the kind of relationship that you're looking for, then it is your duty to do your due diligence. The same way, mashamba za kamulu, the same way we do a lot of investigation before we buy a plot for Kenya na bado tunagonga tukiwa hapa US. You do your investigations about things that matter to you in life, especially long-term investment. How come we do all that investigation, all that we hire lawyers to do this and this, to do due diligence for us, but we are not willing to put that initial effort in our long-term relationships that we want to have? You know what I mean? Pius Ndisho anasema, I used to date a lady outside Africa. Her first question was if I had medical insurance. What? Sijasikia hiyo, by the way. I haven't heard that. Have you guys been asked about medical insurance? Medical insurance is very important. Hapa US nime-notice. I didn't think it was that crazy until I had a medical issue. And if you don't have insurance, that's when you know how important it is. if you don't have insurance, or if your partner doesn't have insurance. Then you have to have insurance for your kids. Right now, you can have insurance for your kids until the age of 26. If they're not working or if they don't have their own insurance cover, you can cover them as a parent until they are 26. And then after that, they have to find their own insurance. But medical insurance is very, very important. So if you're married, you can have a joint, you can have like a family plan for the insurance. So depending on if you're both working, depending on whose insurance is more favorable and the premiums are lower and they have like good insurance coverage, then you would pick the one and then you put the whole family on that person's insurance. Kenya nakumbuka I think nilikuwa na NHIF card. I never really used it. I don't remember if I used it because I was still young, so I never actually used it. So when I came here is when I found out like you get insurance through the job, the medical plan through the employer. And then when I was in school, I didn't have a job at that time, like for like 3 years or something. No, 1.5 years or 2 years. I had this healthcare.gov. You can go there on Marketplace and buy your own insurance at a subsidized price. Premiums are lower because you don't have a job. But you're still required to pay a certain amount. Yes, insurance is important, but I don't think I've ever been asked that. This is the first time I'm hearing that that's coming up. And you're saying about being narcissistic, it's on guys, not women. Yeah? You've never met a narcissistic woman? I feel like it can be both ways because that's it's a behavior. I know mostly is men are more narcissistic than women, but women are not like completely ruled out from that. It's the worst thing. Kagura Jenu unasema, hiyo sindisho very true. Yeah. So sijasikia juu ya medical insurance. That's the first one. I've never heard somebody being asked about medical insurance. I know about credit, whether somebody has been to jail. What about that one? If somebody has been to jail or has a criminal record, because that can affect you. We talked about children, we talked about finances, we talked about long-term goals, we talked about family, we talked about religion, we talked about how many children do you want, we talked about medical history, like if you have genetic issues, hereditary medical issues, and then Pius just brought up medical insurance. Yeah, we talked about going for checkups for STIs na ma-HIV na nini nini, vitu kama hizo. So I thank you guys for participating in the live. Kaguru nasema if someone has been to jail, it's important to know, I want to know if you've been to jail and what happened. Were you wrongly accused or what did you do? What kind of crime did you do? Was it like white collar crimes? Ukikuyu umetoka. White collar crimes. But one can choose to lie about that. It's true. I know when you first want somebody, when you're starting a relationship, and you want to get what you want to get out of the person, I know there's a tendency to lie. But I know there are genuine people out there still. So I'm talking to the genuine people who are ready to start a relationship with someone and are not are not afraid to answer these tough questions. They feel like somebody is prying into your life, but they're important. And we're not ruling out the fact that people are going to lie, but at least you ask the questions. Pius unasema about being in jail, it doesn't matter in Kenya. Huwa unashikwa ukiwa innocent. Eh, Kenya is on another level. But I still want to know kama ushashikwa. I understand playgrounds are Kenya si same. The political processes that Kenya judicial is not the same as here, but here it's different. Kama umeshikwa, umeshikwa, you've been arraigned in court, yeah, either you are convicted, ama were you released, were you wrongly accused? I want to know that. I want to know what happened. What was the issue surrounding that? Why were you even, why did it get to a point where it was you that was arrested? Were you in a wrong place at the wrong time? You know what I mean? Ama is it something that you actually did? So those are just some of the important questions that I feel like we should ask when we're starting off a relationship. Yeah. I am really not a marriage expert. I'm not a relationship expert, but I've seen my my fair share of things in a relationship. So that's why I came up with this topic today. Yes, kushikwa, kushikwa nimeshikwa like 100 times, kwanza siku za COVID. Oh, juu ya mask. Yeah, so I mean, that's why I'm asking. It's good to ask for the reason why somebody was arrested. Yeah, I remember times of COVID all the time. I would hear that makarao sijui wameshika watu juu they're not wearing the masks. That's something different from robbing a bank or assaulting someone or murder or vitu kama hizo. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of having these conversations. You want to know the person. All right, guys. I want to end this live if you don't have any further comments or questions about this conversation that we're talking about, Leo. The topic was choosing the wrong partner will ruin your life. Na tumeongea, tumediscuss, we have talked about why it's important to have conversations earlier on in a relationship. We've talked about why choosing the right partner is the most important decision you'll ever make, because marriage is not just about love, it's about finances, family values, credit, deal breakers, long term compatibilities, all those things. And the wrong choice can lead to stress. It can lead to debt. It can lead to heartbreak. Yani leo Kikuyu yangu inatoka yote. My Kikuyu is coming out of the woodworks. I'm shrubing like a nonsense. So we've talked about why early conversations about money, about credit, and about family expectation. All those conversations are important. Pius, in USA, those things kama kushikwa, I hear they go to your record. Not in Kenya, ati pia kupata. Yeah, that criminal record, it goes to your criminal record so that when you're going to maybe look for a job or something, they pull what is called a criminal background check. That will come up. That can hinder you from moving forward in life, kabisa. It can hinder you from getting a job. It can hinder you from doing a lot of things. Jen, Lucy, that was a very nice topic. You can do a very nice patanisho show. Kuna watu wanatafuta watu kwa hii live. Is anybody looking for anyone? Is anybody looking for love out there? Awesome topic. Need to revisit. Yes, we do. Maybe we'll circle back and talk to it talk about it in a in a different from a different angle. Shiro, you're looking for love. Hey, Shiro is looking for love. Pius anasema I'll come there in summer to visit my family. Yeah, nitafute ukikuja. Pius, when you get here, you come to Middletown, holla at me. I'll be happy to meet you and talk to you about life in America. Fifi join. For those who are joining late in the game, you're 1 hour, 14 minutes late. Okay, Pius, Middletown, and Salisbury, Middletown. Okay, all right. Great, 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 great. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. on this topic. We will revisit this topic. It's a lot to talk about relationships. There are different angles of relationships. So choosing the right partner can impact your success and your happiness. It can impact your peace of mind. It can ruin your whole life, you know? Yeah. So let's not ignore the red flags and deal breakers. If you feel something is not right, investigate. Investigate, investigate, investigate until your heart settles. Unajua, there's a time you can have that feeling like, guy, something is not right. Something is not right. I can't put a finger to it, but something is not right. So just take your time and find out until your heart settles. Until your heart settles. So choosing the right partner is the biggest life decision. So make sure you take your time, ask the hard questions. Don't settle. Don't settle kwa sababu ya makaratasi. Because hiyo kitu, it will come to bite you in the butt later. So what's the deal breaker for you in a relationship? Let me know in the comment section and we can pick this up later. Um, later in a different video. Kenyan, if I'm in the neck of your woods, I'll touch base for a working lunch. Yeah, if any of you mko huku, I know Mary, there's a lady, Mary, she's from Phoenix, Arizona. She had said that she's coming over this way to Delaware to the East Coast one of these days. So if you're on this side and you want to holler at me, that's fine. We can do a lunch or something just to touch base and exchange notes. So Shiro unasema, thank you for such important discussion. And Pius, you're saying, I'll connect with my sister. She works there at Christiana Care Hospital. She's a doctor. All right, great. Yeah, Christiana Hospital is not far away from here. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining the live on TikTok. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for liking the live. We didn't get dropped. And I appreciate everyone who was able to join me for this live. I know I came on later, but I figured instead of recording the topic, let me just come in and have a conversation with whoever is available. So I appreciate you guys for joining me. And hopefully I'll see you guys again on Sunday when we come up with another topic. If there's something you want me to talk about on a live, Nyambieni, let me know and we can do that. Thank you guys for watching and have a good night for those who are going to sleep. And for those who are still up and about, have a good evening. Thank you guys. Cheers, guys. Bye.